Welcome back to Out There Live TV, live documentaries, live stories. We are back with, of course, the amazing Sian Faire. It's great to be here. And we're on episode 3 of Sian's life story, which is Academically Pointless. That was the title of the series, so fitting. If you follow through with us, keep with us, because there's so much to unfold. If you're just joining, go back to episode 1 because you've missed so much. Now, Sian, we're back in, we're up and running, episode 3. On this one, I'm going to start with the life chapter. I went to uni for my parents. You went to uni for your parents. Now, at 18 years of age, you started uni with your chosen subject, electronic engineering. This was a 4-year commitment, as I think most uni is, not that I know because that's way out of my academic ability for sure. And within the first year, you realized the subject wasn't for you. You realized that electronic engineering wasn't a subject that resonated with you internally. Let me go a little further here. You shared in our research calls, that your favorite subject was physics, and all good. But did you feel that your choice of subject was yours, for you, or was more of the cycle that you were in now, which was, please, mom, please, dad, I have a persona, I have an expectation that I have to keep, which is I do what's right by them, which means I'm doing what's right by me.
So first of all, I knew I had to do A-levels. I was academic, so that's what you do. I knew the expectation was going to university because I was academic, that's what you do. And obviously, after university, you go on and have a career. And so my choice of degree was based on the future of what was I going to do as a career after university. So it wasn't really about doing the degree, but it was doing the degree to get to the next step.
Yeah.
And so...
Wow, can I just pile in there? And please, let's come back to this point that I've jumped in there rudely, which was doing the degree for the next step. So there's no place of settled achievement. You are constantly in your life pushing to the next goal, the next goal. Now, as entrepreneurs, we are driven anyway, but this drive that you have isn't purposeful or may not be purposeful to your own life choices, because come back to the opening statement, you realize this subject wasn't for you. Also, you had no choice in university. Also, you had no choice in the academic outcome of your time in university. Would you say that was a true factor to this time in your life?
So it was all about achieving again. So I chose electronic engineering because if I'd done physics, which was like my favourite subject, I would have come out with a physics degree. If you do physics, you come out with a physics degree. But then what does that lead into as a job? So you've got a very academic qualification, which then you can go, yes, I've got a degree. And obviously there are employers that go, yes, you've got a degree, so we'll employ you just because you've got a degree. Whereas if you do something that is more tailored towards a specific career, a specific job, it should be easier to get that career because you've already started training towards it. So that was why I did electronic engineering, because if I had an electronic engineering degree, it would be easier to get a job in an engineering company than if I had a physics degree.
Wow. So if you play the piano, you'll get here. If you play the recorder, you'll get here. If you swim every week, you'll get here. If you go to every swimming gala, you'll get here. If you go to every concert or music festival, you will get here. And this is this is the cycle that we are realizing now, is that everything that you do is about the next win, the next win. At what point, and you're 18 years of age here, you're still not looking back on any of your achievements right now. You are constantly pressing forward into the next achievement of worth.
Yeah.
Feel good, be good, I'm the best. Now, when I met you many years ago, you never presented to me this person that wanted to be the best. You never presented to me ego. You never presented to me anything that had a seemingly inkling at all that that's who you were. Which tells me also that there's a deep camouflage here. A deep camouflage of achieving, but also coming across as an unachiever. Which seems quite fusing, but just come in with this with me, because we've gone to uni, you didn't have a choice. You've picked a subject that you're about to spend 4 years of your life into that effectively doesn't really resonate with you, but you will do it anyway because you know how to achieve even when you don't wish to achieve in something that doesn't resonate with you. At 18 years of age, you already had that emotional endurance.
Yeah.
This level of emotional endurance generally sits in with a business person that has grown 40 years of their life. What I mean by this is, they say you peak between 45 and 55 in your wisdom. You've had to, at the age of 18 years of age, you've already got an intense stamina of being able to study into life, into subjects, into emotions that do not resonate with you, but you'll still come out the best. For me, that's suffering.
It wasn't easy. So, whether I really thought of it as suffering, it was definitely challenging. But then, like, if you look at swimming, like, you know, like the level of swimming that I had done previously, like training every morning before school, training 4 evenings a week, you know, galas every weekend, there's a lot of potentially suffering. Because there's so many things that I didn't do because of that. You know, I didn't have the social life, which whether it was cause or effect is questionable, but I gave up a lot to do that, and potentially that's why I wouldn't say it's easy for me, but I can go through something that isn't comfortable because I've done that quite a lot in the past.
You have a very high level of emotional resilience. A high level of emotional resilience. We have to physically, emotionally, and biologically force a resilience in at that level, because we're not organically born in that way. So at 18 years of age, you already had a level of resilience in life that very few people, or that those who've gone through the intensity, even though it didn't look that way. And this is the clever part, is that your life looked normal to others.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go further and say it almost looked perfect.
There. Wow. It
perfectly imperfect, but yeah, but that's it. You know, like it would have looked like, you know, like an ideal. It's that whole like storybook life that, you know, you go and you do this and then you do this and then, you know, like how it progresses is that like fairy tale
Yeah.
type thing.
But you were living on an emotional time bomb because effectively you had to keep progressing, achieving, accomplishing, passing in order to feel full as a daughter.
I think, yeah, but I never felt full because there was always the next step.
Wow.
So that's I think that is the thing, that I was always focused on the future and on the next step, and I never actually enjoyed or lived the current
Wow.
where I was, because it was always
Yeah.
like about getting to the next step.
Wow. At 18, you've not experienced the average 18-year-old life, that's for sure.
No.
But also, I want to put this in before we move into our next life chapter. You said to me, Paul, leaving uni wasn't an option. Going to uni was an option, but leaving uni wasn't an option. Where are you in all that? Where do you live within those options? You had to go to uni, but you couldn't leave uni. It's like you're in a sentence of life that's not yours, but yet is completely.
Yeah, I mean, there was never, like, when I knew that I didn't enjoy the subject really, and it wasn't particularly, like, the electronics part of it wasn't really where I excelled, but the thought of having to admit that and do something that I actually would prefer to have done, but then that felt that it would have then taken the future backwards. So it was never anything that I really seriously considered. And then, like, my tutor at one point told me that I should change and do a marketing degree or something like that. And that just really was red rag to a bull, because I was just like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Oh, wow. Wow. So the studies are like some kind of negative race. It's just brutal. Let's take this a step further, because we're going to bring into the story now the cause and effect of forced academia. Now, when I say that, you loved it, you thrived on it. But when you say love and thrive, you had no choice but to love and thrive.
Yeah.
Into your life. Now I've got here, and I've named this life chapter, My Uni Shared Accommodation of Loneliness. My university shared accommodation of loneliness. So you're now in shared accommodation in uni. I mean, this experience is pushing all your introvert emotional buttons to its limit. You're finding the shared uni home experience a pressure point of stress. This has led you to being labelled the weirdo, the loner, spending days in your room over mixing with other students. You shared with me how uncomfortable the shared accommodation was. Bear in mind, you're still in your teens, your time of vibrancy. And for the most, emotionally, it was impossible for you to participate into what was, the social enjoyment and freedom. You're out of the controls, confinement of what was your home life. But yet, your cycle now that you've conditioned into, you're forcing that cycle into your uni life by singling and isolating yourself. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and this is going to be, I guess, quite an intricate answer, because, Sian, you had your freedom given to you, but how is it you couldn't feel that opportunity to, there were so many holdbacks in you, preventing you from being that social queen?
I never felt like I belonged. I don't know. I felt like one of the things that I can remember, and I still remember it now, is like I didn't keep anything in the kitchen, and we were in like a corridor that we all had separate bedrooms, but we had shared bathrooms and we had a shared kitchen, and I think probably around 15, 20 people shared the kitchen, and I would only go in the kitchen if there was no one in there.
Wow, that is such a restraint on your time and experience.
But then I could say, we talked about it, I started to, I suppose, befriend people on the committee that were the year above, and so then started to eat with them and things like that.
Let me come back to that, because
Yeah.
we're jumping ahead a
Yeah.
little, and that's okay, but here's where we are, is that you left the house, but you never left home. Let's think about that. You left the house, but you never left home, which means that all the emotions that you grew up with, the restrictions, the controls, the inexperience in social behavior, in socializing, I should say, that you took with you.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a time where you thought, I can break free of this. I can go to the kitchen and mingle, be around different conversations with people that will see me for who I am. For who I am. Sian, Elizabeth, they'll see me without any judgment. Did that not run through your desires,
I don't know. I think one of the things is when you go to uni, and you meet everyone at Freshers Week and everything, people have, the questions people ask all the time, what A levels did you do? Where you from, what degree you're doing, and everything just made me weird and outsider. What A levels did I do? I did maths, further maths, physics and chemistry. Oh yeah, you're a really interesting person to know. And then what are you doing as your degree? Electronic engineering. It's not, it didn't make me feel a very interesting person.
Or did you not feel a very interesting? But there's a difference. Because you are. You'd have to be to put yourself into that place of studies, that place of learning, which means that our mind is open to information. If our mind's open to information, it means that we have more to say. We are more interested in our lives. So it would have been a decision you made to yourself to not feel interesting.
Yeah, I think one of it, obviously, the corridor is all full of women again. Mm-hmm. So again, that naturally isn't wasn't where I felt more comfortable. Again, I was with people that I found hard to interact with, and I just didn't feel like I had much in common with people. But then I didn't have, the person who was in the room next to me, we shared a sink, and the reason they put us next to each other was because I think she liked canoeing or something, so it was another water sport. So I was a swimmer and she was, I think it was canoe, or it could have been rowing, but it was something like that. And so they thought we'd have something in common, but we didn't.
I want to ask this question because it's so important. So commonality. Now, commonality was a Saturday you would go shopping with your mum.
Yeah.
Or you were with family, adults, and immediate family, which would have been your same age also. But that's the commonality.
Yeah.
Commonality is you go swimming and you're with swimmers.
Yeah.
We don't know if you had nothing in common with anybody in your accommodation. We don't know that. What we do know is that you hadn't experienced the adventure of finding commonality freely up to this point in your life.
Yeah.
So we are back into the cycle. We're now seeing there's a cycle there where your home is traveling with you. The emotions of the home life is traveling with you everywhere. Let me come into this life chapter yours. It's going to take us a little deeper into this. and this life chapter called The Loneliness of the Student Halls. So at this given point, before this, you're in accommodation, but also now there's a manipulation. I wish to share this because this is quite deep and intense. Is that in our research, you talked about the desperation to seek accommodation just for yourself. So you didn't. Now please know this is very stressful. When you're a person of that age, of your late teens, you're built to socialize. We are, but you're swimming against that current, Kashan, because the anxiety of having to share accommodation is that overwhelming that you're manipulating the system, the uni system, in order for you to safeguard your own accommodation, so you don't have to be around on a permanent basis, let's say, other students in life. Can we just touch into that? Share with me that time, the intensity of that. What did you have to do to get that, make that happen?
So I say I quite quickly realised that there were some second years in the halls. And I found out how they so halls are really for first year students, because the aim is that after your first year you've got your social group and you go out and rent a house and lived in a shared house. And obviously with my social skills, that filled me with terror.
Bless you.
So I very quickly found that there were second years in the hall, found out how they were still in halls, and made that my objective to stay in halls for my entire...
Wow, your entire...
Yeah, I stayed in halls. I never moved out of halls. So the 4 years I was in halls.
In accommodation of your own?
So in my second and third year, I had my own room, but we were in a flat with 6 other people, and then we had a shared kitchen and we had 2 shared bathrooms, but it was a smaller group. But then also we would be with other people that were second years. So other people that were on the committee. So we'd actually, we still had our space, and I was with people that, I sort of knew, but I didn't actually have, it's still, you're much more closed off than if you're in a shared house, because you don't have, any much in a way of shared space. You can still hide away a lot easier.
So was your self space a comforting place or a lonely place that you got used to?
It was a bit of both, because it was security, because I didn't have to I didn't have to find people to live with or wanted to live with me. That's part of it, because you had to say, if you're going out to find a house, you need to find maybe 3, 4 other people that want to live with you.
Were you ever pulled into a group of 3 or 4 people that wanted to live with you?
But then I never put myself out there to be in that.
Wow.
Because I made that decision straight away to get onto the committee that ran the hall so that I could stay in accommodation.
So basically we got a social phobia here.
Yeah.
Now there we go. Social phobia. That's not something that happens overnight. It takes many years of repeat and repeat and repeat of an experience where the most natural emotion that we have in life, which is to be around people, becomes what is the stress of enemy. For you, I would go as far as to say is this is probably a level of stress that could take the average adult into a deep depression. now you're young going through this, which means you have a higher rate of stamina. But if you're going through this now at the age that you are at 51, and then you're going through this whole experience again, it'd be a very different. You'd have a less of an endurance going in there. So what we're looking at here is that there was never freedom. Up to this given point, there was never freedom. There was never a space of freedom that you experienced outside of control as of yet.
No.
I want to ask this question, what did Sian free time feel like?
What, at university?
At this time of life, you're in your late teens.
Yeah.
I remember, I have two daughters, and I remember their teens vividly. What did Sian's free time feel like? What did that even look like?
Engineering has quite an intense...
Hold that thought. I wish to come in here.
So I've straight away gone to...
Use what I want to cut in, because this is your life story, not your life achievements.
Yeah.
Now, free time, Sian's she owns this time, no academia, no results, no nothing. Sian's free time, what did that feel like to you? Happiness, stress? Give me something.
So, I'm thinking, what did I do with my free time?
No, we don't want to. You see, free time for me is about is about me being who I am. Nobody's asking anything of me. My wife, my children, my dogs, my ducks. Nobody's asking anything of me. Andrew behind the camera there. So what did free time feel like to you? Did you allow time where you actually sat and achieved nothing?
No.
What? Okay. I almost want to well up with the severity of that answer, because there was no Sian time. There was no time where you sat in your own energy and owned your own energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was afraid probably to be on my own and in my own time.
But yet, you were manipulating the system to be on your own, to have your own accommodation, be around people as little as you could.
Yeah.
But yet, never giving yourself time to be free, to be you.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of bowled me over a little. So when we think about the intensity of what that is, can't be on my own, but I'm forcing life to be on my own. I don't give myself any space, but then I am forcing my life to be in my own space.
Yeah, I think every time I was always Sian the something, really, rather than Sian just being Sian. So like I was Sian the student, Sian the doing the swimming, Sian the person on the committee. I was, or like Sian the girlfriend, but I was never Sian.
Wow. We have now gone into that. Do you feel that layer? Sian was never Sian.
Yeah.
And I want to take this intensity just a little further. There were expectations. Many would say that you were in a privileged place in university because fees were paid, you were given a car.
Yeah.
Although it was a car that, it was in the family. But all this added on to the expectations of your achievements. It feels like nothing was given to you unconditionally.
No.
Everything had an expectation of outcome, but not for you, but for the people that give you this.
I was given the car so I could go to swimming.
Wow. When I asked you during research, I said, Sian, could you please share with me your most memorable memory at the age of 22 in uni? And your answer was winning the business plan project for a local business. There was no mention of anything that involved you just being you.
Yeah.
You shared with me my most memorable moment is of achievement, not of being me. There are many ways that we can look at life, and there are. Everybody's expectations, outcomes, everybody's understanding their own life story, is very different to another's. Yours is so technically layered that the image of perfection is something that you've mastered behind what is complete chaos.
But I'm always chasing perfection and never reaching it.
Wow. Because what we're seeing here is that the academia is your worth, but pointless.
Yes.
We've named the series academically pointless.
Yeah.
Because nothing within your studies, nothing within that portion of your life has given you value as a human being, Sian Elizabeth Faire.
No.
We think about the holidays. I'm going back to uni. We think about the summer holidays. People would go home, or students would go home. But for you, it was about getting a job. It was about getting a summer job. It was about doing and achieving again, not relaxing, not going on holiday with a gang of girls and enjoy. Did you see that? And it's still there at 51 years of age. Not going on holidays and sharing those moments, getting drunk or whatever it may be that we do in those days. For you, it was about getting a job. And also, what I have on here is your summer job. You talked about traveling from Birmingham to Wolverhampton daily. Plus, you are now sharing in lived accommodation with two lads because, of course, you're out of uni in the summer. Again, no social friendship, even though in the same shared home with these two lads. I mean, again, they must have been shaping you as this odd person that shared with them, but you created the shape also of this odd person that shared with them. How must that have been for you? What did that feel like for you? Feeling like that odd shape, the person that doesn't fit in.
I don't know. So I ended up in that house. Basically, I was sponsored, and the company put me in this company in Wolverhampton, and I needed somewhere to live for the summer. So the personnel manager found me that room.
Wow.
So the two boys that I was sharing with were graduates that were on the graduate training scheme. And so it was the lesser of all evils because I hadn't had to find my own accommodation. In subsequent summers, the one summer I worked in Bristol, and I stayed in Bristol University accommodation. So again, I managed to keep myself nicely isolated. And the other summer that I worked, I was working in Newport, South Wales, and I actually stayed with family for the summer and commuted from Cardiff to Newport on a daily basis. So I always avoided having to find shared accommodation.
Wow. That in itself, it's stressful. But also, I applaud you for being able to run through it. Let's move into this life chapter here, which is, I've called this my friendless end to uni. My friend, let's enter uni. So you're now in your postgraduate at Cambridge. I mean, come on, girl. And of course, unfilled all the expectations to mum and dad's expected results to fulfilling their investment of money spent on you and your uni fees, etc. This isn't, again, we'd only bring this because we need to understand the life journey here. It's not all about parents, but it's about the ecosystem that was created from parents, husband and wife that we live with, we call mum and dad. And now, of course, and you're traveling the country. Now you're traveling the country with 33 other students and all staying in B&Bs. Now this is quite a unique experience for you because you're always with each other. And no students come, and no other students come and go. So you're now part of this 33 people student ecosystem. But here's the thing. Yet you still manage to maintain isolation and get branded the loner. You were 19 at this point?
No. So it was basically my 5th year at uni. So I would have been around 24-ish.
Wow. So you're now quarter way through your life, as they say. You're into your first quarter. And now what we have is that you've now really mastered the ability to manipulate a situation and keep yourself isolated, even when there's only 33 of you, bouncing around from B&B. Now I'm going to just stress this in. Think about the planning that it would have taken for yourself, Sian, to just think ahead to your next place of accommodation, possibly, or thinking ahead how you'd have to create conversations where you can stay in a bedroom environment that will fit your emotional needs. I'm guessing there was a lot of planning in your head.
We were sort of like, we had no choice in where we were staying or who we were staying with. Mm-hmm. So we basically had a fleet of minibuses, and we drove around the UK, and we'd stay in B&Bs, and sometimes we'd split off, and we'd be for 2 weeks. We'd be in smaller groups and things like that. But we never had any choice in that. It was always forced upon us.
Which is something you're used to anyway.
Yeah.
But it
was just keeping myself isolated.
We are is that you could not connect with the group because you just didn't feel good enough. So throughout that time, you didn't become part of any group, any clique, any regular kind of togetherness with anybody.
No.
Let me move us into this life chapter here. And this is the eye of the storm, as they say, which is academic. We've called this life chapter academically brilliant for nothing. Academically brilliant for nothing. Now, this is a star student to have here. You've gone through Cambridge. You've got enough academia to probably, dish out to a whole school of people that if you give it away to them, it would make a lot of people successful. You have so much going on. The conclusion of the last 5 years, Cambridge under your belt, with kudos, and attending one of the most prestigious unis, as you said, you're stacked with academic certifications, honours. Did you have honours there? Did you pass with honours with anything? But here's where I want to go. You're empty still in life and purpose.
Yeah.
Engineering certified, yet no drive to continue the studies of the career. No lasting life friends. You spoke of one earlier from your uni way of life. Would you agree or disagree? Do you see? Because here's what, generally when people leave uni.
So when I left uni, I was in contact so when I left Southampton, so that was like the undergrad, I was in contact with one person who I was in contact with until I left London. And then we were not really in contact anymore. But then my postgrad was where I met my first husband.
Which is we're going into now.
Yeah.
And run us into it, because I have that here. I have it here, you know, that you met your first husband at Cambridge on the course.
Yeah.
And it wasn't your first love, but truly a positive memory. And I was going to come in with this to say, you know, my question to you, and I have this written here, is, was these last 5 years ever for you?
I chose to do the postgraduate course. So that was something more for me. It was something that I actually found out about, liked the sound of, and thought, you know what, this is going to be an amazing experience, academically or business speaking, because it was all about travelling around the UK, seeing best practice in industry, and doing 9 consultancies type projects where we went into a company as either mainly as just 2 people, and it kept mixing around, and you had a problem to solve. You know, they had an issue, you had 2 weeks to come up with a solution.
You thrive there.
Yes,
you thrive,
and that's the thing.
You thrive in achievement. But the question and please, you know, let's be careful here. This is Sian's life story, and it's not for me.
But I chose to do, so I definitely did choose to do that, but it was a very, whilst I wanted the experience, it was never on a personal level. It was always about the business experience.
Yeah. Was uni fun? Are there memories from uni that you would never want to share with your husband, but you and the girls will always remember? Are there memories from uni that stay with you?
Very, very rare. I can't. I don't really ever remember going out with the girls, because there weren't the girls. So I never remember going out with them because they didn't exist.
So was uni for you, or was it for your academic part of your life?
It was definitely it was academia. It was nothing social.
And was that for you or your parents?
When I look and know and look at what I've done in the future, I probably still would have gone to university. At 16, maybe I wouldn't. I may have decided that if I wanted to go into engineering, that I would have gone and done an apprenticeship, gone hands-on, and then that would have helped me work out if it was actually what I wanted to do. But my true passion as a child was fitness.
Yeah.
So a dream university experience would have been sports science, that sort of thing, something in fitness, even if it sports science, exercise, something around that. But that was never even an option. Yeah. So that was never even anywhere in the discussion, that it was never there.
It couldn't have even come into a discussion.
No, I did my first swimming instructor qualification at 16 because I'd been teaching swimming voluntarily. And it would have been really easy to have progressed that. And even when I was at university, one of the girls the year above me that was on the committee, she'd done her exercise to music and used to teach aerobics. Okay. And she tried to convince me to do that, to take, because she was going to be finishing. She wanted someone to take on teaching where she was teaching. But obviously, she was a lot more outgoing than me, and introvert Sian, there was no way that I was ever going to do that. Yet, you know, like 10 years or whatever later, I ended up doing exercise to music and doing it.
Let's remember, we're not born introverts. We're born extroverts. We're born to experience life, to maximize life is where we are. But the realization here is that uni was just like home, a different shape, and academically expected. Achievements were expected. We've come to the end of episode 3 here, and this was such a deep dive into this part of your life. And keep with us as we dive into episode 4, and we're going to take the journey from uni now and take everything that you mastered there, and I mean mastered in a social sense. We got your relationship, and we're going to take that into what is now the next portion of your life. Stick with us. See you in episode 4.